I hope everyone can hear me. Wait, I can't see your chats, so I wouldn't be able to get an answer. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, that's good. I think we'll wait another 2 minutes for people to come, if that's all right. I'm not really sure how many are there right now. Okay. Sorry. I think we can get started then. Well, hello. I'm Sophia VM. I'm a first year PhD at CES. And I will be talking to you about applying for PhD today, a student's perspective. And this would be a two-parter. So I'll be handling the first part, and then another classmate of mine will be handling the second part. And this is going to tell you everything from what is a PhD to do you need a PhD to why do you need a PhD, and finally, how to apply for a PhD. So it's going to be a 1 hour talk, and the talk's probably going to just be like 45 minutes, and then we'll take questions at the end and try and answer as much as you can, as much as we can, sorry. And for that reason, you should probably get a notebook and keep track of any questions that you have, and then we can have a question and answer session at the end of this. So why don't we just get started with that? So first and foremost, we'll go through what exactly constitutes a PhD. So you have a better understanding of
Why
what
do
PhD
I
is.
always hear your shit these days? Fix it somehow.
I think one of you has
Right. I want it to be
muted. Oh, okay, that's good. Anyway, so what constitutes a PhD? So a PhD is not just another degree. It's actually pretty unique on its own. So you can see over here, the very first point actually says it's a research-oriented program which needs self-motivation. And that kind of is a very good way to put it, because you do a PhD because you want to do a PhD. It's not like a bachelor's, which you get like because you need a college degree, or a master's because you need a better understanding of a particular topic. You take a PhD when you want to take a PhD, when you need it. And it's also like a relationship between a supervisor and a student because of long-term commitment. So it's an understanding between a supervisor and a student based on a common topic that they're both very interested in. And it requires you to find your own answers. So that kind of goes along with the self-motivation part of it. And when you do a PhD, you actually learn a few things like decision making, skill development, time and stress management, because basically the entire degree is run by you. You do it on your own. And it's less structured than a master's and bachelor's. There is no, you're going to be doing this semester, then you're going to be doing that this semester. It's not like that. Once your work begins, you plan what you do, when, where, how. It's all up to you. So that's where the decision making comes. That's where the skill development comes. That's where you will need to manage your time and stress. So this is not to demotivate you, but it's kind of telling you that a PhD is more free. So you get to make decisions. You get to plan out how your schedule is going to be and how your work is going to go. So that's like a basic understanding of what a PhD is going to be like. So next we'll look into what exactly it is in, like, when you look at it just like that. And it is a slightly long-term commitment. It's about 5 years in thing, but we've had PhDs that go as long as 8 years and ones that are short is like 3 years. So it's a long-term commitment. And since you're doing a lot of it on your own, it's something to like think about, like something you have to put in effort for a long term. And then why do a PhD? So I would basically say the very first point over there, research fascinates you, should be one of the main reasons why you do PhD. You rather not have a desk job, rather you would answer questions. You like coming up with questions and finding answers for questions. So research fascinates you. That's a very good reason to get a PhD, because it teaches you how to, like, take that question and make the best of it and find answers. And it helps you increase your receptivity, comprehension abilities, logical deductive reasoning. These are all things that will help you kind of find the answer. This is all these things you'll need to be a researcher. So a PhD will help you do that in like a environment where you are being supervised by a supervisor and you're doing research, but there is someone to watch over you. And if you enter through a scholarship like the Prime Minister's Research Fund, the PMRF, then it's a paid learning opportunity. So you're even getting paid for your living expenses and your research expenses and everything. You're getting paid and you get to learn in that time. And the boring aspects of it, of course, are the reasons why you would need a PhD, is because the developmental and research sector requires you, or you want to be an academic and you want an academic job or a scientist job, and they all ask for a PhD at least. You could get some of those jobs by just writing an exam, but a PhD will give you a better standard of holding over there. And those are some of the slightly more boring reasons as to why you should do a PhD. Now, if you are in a stage where you're confused, do I need a PhD? Because you have just gotten into research and you're not sure if that's what you want to do, we do have some resources that you guys can look up. So I would actually encourage you to go take a screenshot of this slide right now and check out those two things. Where do you need a PhD by Matt Welch, which kind of tells you everything about what you learn in a PhD and why he did a PhD and what should be a reason to take a PhD. And then the second link is from a lab from CES, the TE lab, the professional skills. It has a lot of links that you can go through that will go through basically everything, like things that you learn as a PhD, what you need for your PhD, why you should be doing a PhD, and a lot of stuff. It has a whole bunch of links inside of that. You can read, you can watch and stuff. And I also encourage you to watch this video, which is called What is a PhD by an Indian Scientist. It's by a YouTube channel called BioTalk. It will also give you an idea of people who have done their PhDs and who are actual scientists and what they think a PhD is. So that would give you more ideas as to, should I or should I not do a PhD? Do I really need a PhD? If you're thinking about that, those are some places that you can go to check it out. And we're having a session next week called Careers in Ecology, which kind of tells you that if you have a PhD or if you're finished with your PhD, what are the things that you can do? Like what all is available in ecology? And so you definitely check that out next week. So you'll get more ideas to the what can you do in the far future. Now, talking about that, since I said the first main thing about why you need to do a PhD is research just fascinates you. So first you need to know, is research the actual thing for you? Is research the one thing that gets you interested? How do you know this? Is if you've done your master's, you probably had a dissertation. Did you like doing your dissertation research work? That's one way to go about it. And otherwise, you've always been inquisitive and you've observed and explored and you have these questions about nature and ecology that you want answers to, then probably research is something for read or watched things, like you've read these books written by fabulous researchers and that kind of got you into like, oh, I want to do research. Or you've watched documentaries and you want to know, like you want to be one of those people back there who did the research to put out this information. Those are also reasons that you could be into research. And if any of this makes you curious about research and you know that research is the thing for you, then you should probably get a PhD. A PhD would be a good thing for you. Moving on, another fascinating way that you can get to know if research is the thing for you, like you really want to confirm it, is by getting research experience. So this happens before your PhD, and these are things that you can do to find out what research is like. So when you're in your bachelor's or your master's, you can actually volunteer or get in as an intern into labs where you shadow people. and you work on their research, and you find out what it's like to be in the field or be in the wet lab, what it's like to come, get data, gather data, analyze those data, and produce results, what it's all like. So you know what what research constitutes. And then if you still don't understand and you're finished with your master's, you don't want to jump into a PhD just like that. You could join in as project trainees, project assistants, and get tons of experience like that, and find out which part of research interests you. So research experience is a very important thing that you can get right before you do your PhD. And then if you know this is the subject I want to settle down in, this is what I want to research in, and you want to do your own project, you can join a PhD. So that's like the way you go. You shadow people, and then you assist them, and then you diverge and get your own project. And one of the fascinating resources that we have is the Summer Research Fellowship. It's given by the Indian Academy of Sciences. It happens every year. And you can go to this particular website over there that has been mentioned, and you can sign yourself up for this summer research program. I'm guessing that applications generally open in September the year before, and the summer internship happens in like April, May the year after. So that's like if I wanted to apply for 2023, should have applied in 2022 September. But do check out their website and find out more details as to where and when you should apply for. They have like this whole list of people who have projects and are looking for interns, and you can apply to the ones that you like and join them, and then shadow, assist, find out what research is like. You can also find other opportunities by signing up for the mailing list for YETI, which is the Young Ecologists Talk and Interact. It's very, very important. If you do decide to stick in ecology and research, please sign up for this mailing list. It will be very, very helpful for you. It not only gives you like jobs, internships, and stuff like that, but it tells you lots of details about fundings and scholarships, and even like just seminars and programs like this. For all of those details will be sent to your email by Yeti if you sign up for the mailing list. So please do that. And this is my favorite one of all of them. Please, if you have a researcher that you like to work with or you want to intern with, just email them. You might not get replies sometimes because they are busy people, but it does not reflect on your potential or that you're not good enough. Just go ahead and email as much as you can, and you will get a response at some point of time, and it would be good for you. And now, since we've gone through all of this, and you have realized that you've got enough research experiences and everything like that, and you want to do your own, you're ready to dive into research and get yourself a PhD. So now I'm just going to go by what do you need to become a PhD other than all of this personal stuff. You would require a certain amount of an academic degree to get into a PhD. They do have an eligibility criteria. So in general, you do like a 3 years of bachelor's or 2 years of master's. And when you're done with that, you're eligible to apply for a PhD. And a PhD is minimum 3 years, maximum 5 years. Here in CES, we get 5 years plus 1. So that's how it is. And so that is like the general one. If you do a 3 years bachelor's, 2 years master's, you get into a PhD. There are other ways. For example, if you do a 5-year BSMS, which is an integrated course where you do your BSc and MSc together, then you're eligible to apply for a PhD. Or if you've done a professional degree like BTech or let's say medicine or a BS, which is like 4 years, then with that, you can just apply for a PhD. So those are different ways that you can apply. Those are the eligibility criteria. So you need at least a minimum 4 to 5 years of college to be able to apply for PhD. And this is just a breakdown of the academic journey. So for post-bachelor's, you need to find a master's in the field of your choice. So you will have to do 2 years. It's mostly going to be coursework, and then you're going to have a dissertation. That's how a general master's is. And then you have another thing called the integrated master's PhD, which we just for short call integrated PhD. So the Indian Institute of Sciences, they all have an integrated PhD program, which basically is like 3 to 4 semesters. That's like 2 years of coursework. And during this coursework, you will also have lab rotations where you would go and work for all the labs that are there in that department. And then at the end of your 2 years, you would pick a lab, you would and join them to continue into a PhD. And when you do that, you do start getting your fellowship. And that's an integrated MS PhD. That's how it works. And then you have, if you can do that, or if you've just finished your master's, then you can just straight up go to your PhD, which is like 1 to 3 semesters of coursework. And then you do 2 years of being a junior research fellow. And then you do 3 years of being a senior research fellow. You have like an exam between the junior research fellow and senior research fellow, and your fellowship kind of gets hyped up a little bit after you write that exam. And of course, a PhD, if you've written an exam and everything, depending on what kind of entry you have, you do receive a fellowship when you're working for your PhD. So those are the ways that you could get into a PhD and what you require. And now, because we've talked so much about masters and integrated PhD and everything, I do want to give you more information on each of those steps as to where you can do it or what you can do it, depending on, are you just a bachelor student who is just done or is going to be done? Are you a master's student? And depending on that, I want to give you a little more information on where you can join and what you can do. So that would be the next few slides. So let's start off with master's courses. So you're a bachelor student, fresh out of bachelor's, and you want to join a master's course relating to ecology. We have options for you. If you've already done a master's and you want to do a master's again, which a lot of people actually do, just so you can specialize in ecology, then we've got a lot of places that you can go to. So we actually have one here in the Indian Institute of Sciences that has just started. It's called the MSc Life Sciences. So they do, so all of the biological department, actually, the MSc students for that go to MSc Life Sciences. So you have the neurobiologist, you have the geneticist, you have the cell and molecular biologist, and all of them, including the ecologists, all in one common space. So you learn a lot of your life sciences. And then for the ecology students, you have a specialization, ecology and evolution, which you have to study extra subjects for. So we have this new life science program. It's very informative. You learn a lot of things. So you can join that. Or you can take an MSc Zoology or Botany in all central and state universities. And that could also help you with your PhD in ecology. And then you have wildlife sciences, wildlife biology. I actually did wildlife biology myself. And you have different places to do that. You have the Wildlife Institute of India. You have the National Center for Biological Sciences, the NCBS, and all of these places and other colleges that actually give you wildlife biology. That also helps you, understand concepts for your PhD in ecology. You can also take ecology and environmental studies, or more very specifically, a master's in research in evolutionary and integrative biology, which is in the Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, which is here in Bangalore. So you can take any of these courses to give you like a nice head start into your PhD in ecology. So these would be good masters to start with. And you have the eligibility criteria changes for each of those colleges depending on the college itself. So you might want to look them up in their individual websites as to what they require. Some of these require an entrance exam. So for the MSc Life Sciences in IISc Bangalore, you either need a JAM or a GATE exam. So you might want to look into that if any of the other institutes require that. If I know, all central and state universities generally don't require any specific exam. Maybe they might have a personal exam that is for their department, but most of them is just, you just need to have a 60% cutoff in the bachelor's. And another note is the Wildlife Institute of India and the NCBS, they only take in students on a bi-yearly basis. So if you do want to get into those institutes, it would be a good idea to make sure you know which years they're taking in students. So they're taking in this year, they won't next year. And they do have entrance exams. So NCBS has an entrance exam. Wildlife Institute of India also has an entrance exam. So those also happen on a bi-yearly basis. So you need to keep an eye out for those dates. I would definitely go check out the individual websites and find out more information. But these are master's courses you can do. And then you have the integrated MS PhD, which I told you, which if you're fresh out of bachelor's or you've done a master's and you want to do another one again, you can take your MS PhD programs in all the Indian Academy of Sciences. So you have the Indian Institute of Science over here. We have one, the ICERs of Pune, Thiruvananthapuram and all, they all have one. The Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, where we talked about the evolutionary integrated biology MS. So they also have an MS PhD program, and so does NCBS. All of these require you to have one of these exams in. Depending on what stream you are and what you specialize on, you can pick one of those exams. Some institutes let you in with either of the exams. Some institutes would specify this is the exam that they need. For those informations, I would definitely suggest you go to the individual website. You choose which institute you want to apply for, go to their individual websites, find out what their eligibility criteria is. And unlike the MSc Life Science program where you don't actually have an interview, this in the integrated MSc PhD programs, you will have an interview. So most of the time you'll have two. You'll have first round interview and the second round interview. So you'll have to take those interviews after your exams if you get chosen for the program. And yeah, that's how you do it. So you can get an integrated MS PhD, which is like 2 years, where you would do your coursework and do lab rotations, pick a lab, and then from your third year onwards, you would follow what the other PhD students follow, which is your comprehensive exams and so on, which will be given more information on that would be given to you in the next session, which is I think at 3:30. I'm not sure, which is like life as a PhD student. They will tell you more about how it's going to be. So if you want to know more details on that later, if you want to know how to apply for this, that would be in like another 10-20 minutes when my other friend joins. He would tell you all of that. And then finally, if you are a master's student, you're done and dusted with all of this, and you just want to know where to apply for PhD, there you go. So many options as to where you can find PhD programs, especially in ecology, environmental sciences, wildlife biology. All of these places will give you the answers for that. So right off the bat, we have the Indian Institute of Sciences, obviously, and then you have the ICERs, and then you have WII, NCBS, Journal Analyst Center for Advanced Scientific Research, and you do have some, they're not institutes per se, they are places, labs of research, like Laboratory Center for Conservation of Endangered Species. They do take in students for PhD. So depending on where you apply for, the seats could be limiting, because if it's a teaching institute, they would have more seats. If it's like an actual lab, they would have less seats, depending on how many people that they have in their lab. And all central and state universities, they also give you PhD. So you can find those, remember the MSc programs, then the list I showed you, some of those colleges actually do have wildlife biology and ecology. Those institutes will also be providing PhD in ecology and wildlife biology and whatever that interests you. And yeah, so you can apply to all of these places. The eligibility for these places do differ. In general, it's usually you need an exam, the CSIR net, the UGC net, the GATE, or DBT-JRF, or the rest of the exams that you have. You will need one of those exams. You might have to check the eligibility criteria for the institute that you require and find out what they want. So the exams, actually, you don't have to write all of them, obviously. You just you pick the exams depending on what the institute requires, one, and what you specialize in. So if you specialize in life sciences, plant biology, and all sorts of biology related parts, CSIR net is a very good exam for you. If you do environmental sciences, and if the environmental laws and all of that is your strong point, then UGC net is the place to go. If you're more specific and ecology and evolution is what you want to do, GATE, Ecology and Evolution, is a wonderful exam to write. It's very interesting, to be honest. And then the rest, like if you have biotechnologies, your background, DBT, JRF is like a good way to go. If you're a medical student, and you know a lot more of those biology and everything, ICMR is a good way to go. So depending on where your specialization lies and what the institute requires, you can pick and choose one of those exams. Keep an eye out for the exam dates. They usually happen, some of them happen in 2 rounds, some of them happen only once, early off in the year or like towards the end of the year. So keep an eye out for that. And if you clear your exams, you will have 2 rounds of interview when you apply. If you've applied and they've accepted your application, then you'll have 2 rounds of interviews for you to clear to get into a PhD program. So you have a whole bunch of choices, a whole bunch of places to apply to. It's going to be hard to find a place that is right for you, but I would definitely say apply as much as you can, go and get all the experience that you can and find which place suits for you. So that's it from me right now. I think it went by quite quickly, but that's it from me right now. I have my friend take over, and if you have any questions, we will be having a question and answer session at the end of this, and I'll be happy to answer as much questions as possible. And yeah, I'll hand this over to my friend who will be taking the second half of this thing, which is how to apply. Firaj, your turn.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, and my slides are my slides visible?
Yeah, it's visible. It's visible. Just put it on slideshow.
Okay. So it's on slideshow now. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. Hi everybody, and thank you, Sophia, for the session. Hi everybody. I'm Dheeraj. I'm also a first year PhD student at CSISC. So how to apply for PhD position? Here I'll be only explaining how to apply for PhD in India. Firstly, when can one apply for a PhD? Our department, that is the Center for Ecological Sciences, has set basic qualifications for eligibility as master's or equivalent degree in any branch of science, engineering, agriculture, veterinary sciences, or bachelor degree in any branch of medicine, engineering, technology, or Bachelor of Science program, which is a 4-year program. Most ecology and evolutionary biology departments or institutes in India have similar eligibility criteria. But it's better to go through their eligibility criteria on their respective websites before you apply. To apply for any PhD program, one has to have a funding. And these fundings can be secured by clearing some of the competitive exams. Coming to these competitive exams, CSIR NET Life Sciences or UGC NET Environmental Sciences, these exams are considered by all of India's research institutes and central universities for PhD positions. Clearing these exams is also mandatory to qualify for junior research fellow or lectureship positions. Even some universities or research groups require their research assistants to have cleared these exams. So CSIR is one of the important exams that can open many research opportunities in India if you can clear it. Coming to GATE Ecology and Evolution, this is another important exam, and this is considered by many ecology and evolutionary bio departments throughout a country like IAC, all of the ICERs, NCBS, JNCASR, and many other institutes. And NCBS and other institutes under TIRF considers JG Wells exam. Many institutes also consider the ICMR JRF examination, which is given by Indian Council for Medical Research. And the Department of Biotechnology also gives DBT JRF, and this is also considered for PhD positions, which is provided by biotechnology departments. And the Department of Science and Technology provides DST Inspire Fellowship, and this is given to only the first rank holders in post who has done postgraduate from universities which are recognized by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. And many institutions and universities directly consider students passed out from centrally funded technical institutes like IITs, IIMs, ICERs, ISC, NITs, and triple ITs. For further information, please visit the official website of the respective exams or institutes so that you have a detailed information on them. Now, how does one get into a research institution as a PhD student? The first step is that you'll have to meet all the entry requirements. In most cases, you will have to clear one of the competitive exams mentioned in the previous slide. Based on your exam score or rank and previous research experiences, you will be shortlisted for the interviews after the application process. Most interviews are around 2 rounds. In ecology and evolutionary biology field, there will be usually 2 rounds, and you will be asked to choose a PhD supervisor at the end of the second round. After some time, you will be informed by the institute regarding your selection and your PhD supervisor. But in other fields of biology, once your selection is confirmed, you will be asked to do a lab rotation. That is, you'll be working in different lab in the department for a few semesters before you choose your supervisor. I will talk in detail regarding each of these steps in coming slides. So first thing is preparing for the competitive exams. As Sophia mentioned earlier, each exam will have its own set of syllabus, different types of questions and questioning pattern. So prepare keeping in mind what is required for which exam. For example, GET Ecology and Evolutionary Biology will have questions mostly from ecology and evolution, taxonomy, and basic statistics. But CSIR Life Sciences will have questions from the whole of biology, which will have developmental biology, microbiology, biotechnology, virology, etc. But in general, irrespective of which exam you're preparing for, it is better to understand the concepts fully while preparing, because this will also help you prepare for the interviews, which will be later. So you can strategize how you want to prepare for the exam. The best strategies are to try to solve previous year question papers and try giving a timed mock test. And there are options available on the internet where you can give a timed mock test. And you can make strategies to attempt optimal number of questions to maximize your score, because most of these exams will have negative scoring for incorrect answers. And I would highly recommend people to make use of the free ecology and evolutionary biology courses available on the internet, like Yale Open Course and NPTEL provided by the Government of India. Let's say you clear the competitive exam, then what do you do? Most of the institutes in India open their PhD admission before the results of the competitive exams come out. But the admission process will allow you to apply for the PhD position while you are waiting for the results. Once the results are out, you can mention your score or rank on the admission portal to complete your application process. It is always best to make a list of institutes and departments you would like to apply to, and carefully go through each institute and department's official website to know what type of research they do, the type of PhD program they have, the type of facilities they provide, and other useful information. If you clear the requirements of the institute will send you an official email inviting you for the interviews. Usually, there will be 2 rounds of interviews, but it can be different for different institutes or departments. In IASC, selecting department comes during the application process, and selecting the faculty, that is your supervisor, will be done once the interviews are done. I would like to re-emphasize that you should go through the institute's website and also the websites of the labs that you find interesting. The information there will be handy for you while you're choosing your department and supervisor. As I have mentioned above, the interviews are usually of 2 rounds, but some departments may have 1 or 3 rounds of interviews. In our department, we usually have 2 rounds of interviews. First round of interview will be conducted by 3 or 4 faculties of the department, and it will go around 20 to 30 minutes. It will include basic questions from ecology and evolutionary biology, and questions on basic statistics and plotting of graphs, and basic questions on study designs, and also some random questions based on your interest in any field of ecology and evolution. And some of the easiest ways to prepare for the first round of interview in general are: revise the master's project or any other project that you have done, and the basic courses on ecology and evolution that you have covered in your master's and bachelor's. Also, it's good to be familiar with fundamentals of statistics, probability, permutation, and combination, and plotting graphs without any mathematical tool with your own hand. And we encourage you to read about the research that has been going on, and the future plans for research in the department which you apply. Familiarize yourself with the faculties and their research interest. You can also read chapters from ecology and evolution from Raven's biology book. As a matter of fact, you can read any standard ecology and evolution textbook. That will be good. And I would highly recommend you to go through this lecture series uploaded by Yale Open Course. It is titled as Evolution, Ecology and Behavior with Stephen C. Stearns. It is freely available on YouTube. So the second round of interview, if you clear the first round, you'll be selected for the second round of interviews. It will be conducted in the presence of all the department faculty members, and it will be around 30 minutes. Here, you'll be asked some advanced level question based on your master's project and some advanced questions on the study designs of some of the hypothetical ecological scenarios. Here, you can expect questions like, what are your interests in ecology and evolutionary biology field? Why do you want to do PhD? What do you want to do after your PhD? If given a chance to choose your topic of research, what would that be? In both interview rounds, the faculties will try to gauge your understanding, critical thinking, and problem solving abilities. They are not expecting you to give them some groundbreaking, absolutely correct answer. So it is always better to be honest and confident while answering the questions. Coming to how to choose a field of your interest. So basically, all of us have a personal preference or interest in some field, but you can develop that interest and ask more questions on that so that you can develop more interest on your personal preference, and you can start answering questions on that during your PhD. Or your interest can also come from any model system you like. When I say model system, here I'm referring to model organisms like lizards, elephants, langurs. For example, I liked butterflies, so I did my master's thesis on life history traits of butterflies. If you like langurs, for example, you can read more scientific literature on langur and contact research groups that are working currently on langurs. Or your research interest can also come from the techniques you are familiar with or you really like. For example, if you really like coding, you can develop interest on modeling any natural phenomena or animal behavior using coding techniques. Interests are not always black and white. Your interests can change over time. It is also good to know what you don't like. The best way to know what you like and you don't like is to do an internship or do a volunteering work or work as a project assistant in any research group you like. Always try to read popular science articles and new scientific publications to find new interests. You can always talk to people who are already working in the field of your interest. Do not hesitate to mail those people. They will surely respond if they find free time. If you are interested in a lots of stuff, uh, you can list out the pros and cons of each field of your interest and then look at the best one, considering the best research group available for you to work in. So coming to supervisors, what are supervisors? Supervisors is usually a faculty in the department under whom the research lab will be running. And you will be joining as a PhD student under the supervisor. Your PhD supervisor will play a vital role in your PhD, providing you with the mentorship, feedback, and support you need to succeed. That's why it's important to spend time finding a supervisor for your PhD who will be a great fit for you and your project. The role of a PhD supervisor is to use their experience and expertise to support you throughout your project. A good supervisor will show interest in your project and provide regular feedback. Ideally, a supervisor should have a long track record of supervising PhD candidates with plenty of experience, helping them through ups and downs that come with research. Lab website, ResearchGate, Google Scholar, and LinkedIn are some of the best places where you can find the recent publications of your supervisor. Going through these publications will give a really good idea what they're working on and what they probably work on in future. So how do you choose your supervisor? Each of us will have our own personal preference, and each person's supervision experience depends on their university, department, and personal preference. First thing for a compatible supervisor is that you should have a interest overlap in the research they are conducting in their labs. Go through their lab website to learn more about their current and future research plans. If you find their work interesting, you should let them know. A very simple step is to email them regarding your interest, explaining what interests you, what would you like to work on, and how can you contribute to their research, etc. If possible, try to arrange an online meeting or visit the faculty in person. Speaking to them directly face to face makes things much clearer and will give a better chance for the faculty to gauge your ability in whether you could be a better PhD student or not. If you can visit the department in person, speak to some of the faculty's current PhD students to get an idea of how they are doing in their labs. If you can't visit the department, you can email the current PhD students asking their thoughts and experience with their supervisors. The current PhD students' email IDs will be available on their respective websites. Here, I will, in this slide, I will briefly explain the stages of the PhD program provided by our department, that is CS. Here, first step is completing your coursework, and usually it is done in first year of the PhD program. PhD students are required to take 15 credits of coursework. Students must fulfill this requirement through courses which are given at the department, that is CS, or any other departments from IAC. The coursework is typically completed within 1 year of joining the PhD program. That is by the end of second semester. Then planning and designing your research work. During the coursework, students plan their project with the help of their supervisors. Students with their respective supervisors then should also choose their thesis advisory committee by the end of first academic year. This committee will oversee the progress of student till the submission of their thesis. An annual research thesis progress report should be submitted to the thesis committee every year. IAC requires the students to take a comprehensive exam within 2 years of joining. The exam will be written plus an oral test with an open presentation for the PhD proposal to the department members. The student is required to pass comprehensive exam for the confirmation of registration as a PhD candidate. Next, that is in third and fourth year, presenting your work that you have completed so far by giving thesis progress presentation to the department members. In the final year, the student should complete their thesis and submit it by the end of fifth year. Students are also required to defend their thesis in thesis colloquium in front of all the department members. So integrated PhD students will have everything same, except they'll have to do 2 years of master's coursework and lab rotation before they start their PhD part of the program. In between all these key milestones, I am certain that all of the PhD students will have a fun-filled roller coaster ride in the department, which will be explained in the next session, which is titled Life as a PhD Student. Please stick here for that session. And for more details, please visit CS website, official website, where you'll get more information. So thank you all for your kind attention. We now can take any questions. Yeah.
So we actually have a question over here from Madhushri asking about the GATE Excel. So that actually depends on which department you're applying to. CES, I don't think has a specification as to which gate they want, but they do encourage you to take the EY gate, the gate Ecology and Evolution. But if you have a gate Excel, I think that's completely acceptable too, because they basically mention gate, but then they encourage you to take gate Ecology Evolution. But I would suggest, depending on where you're planning on applying, you check if they have a specification of which gate they exactly want, If they don't, I'm pretty sure they're open to accepting any gate that you have. They don't specify a cutoff. So I think the cutoff is decided depending on how many applicants have applied with the gate. So they would have a cutoff of how many applicants they can take through the gate scores. And over there, it'll obviously better for you to have a better gate score, then you would be better than the rest. But in general, qualifying gate is enough to apply. To get considered, it actually depends on the amount of applicants you have at that point. And it also is not just gate, you have your other things like other stuff that they look into, your like your CV and your whatever you've done, your research experience and everything. But yeah, in simple, it's enough to qualify gate to just apply. But if you want to get considered, then you might need a good gate score depending on how many applicants they have that year. I hope that helps. For Priya Kumari, who asked how much long time is required to complete a PhD, that actually depends on the project that you have. Simply to say, ecological PhDs are a bit, we have a lot of field work and lab work, and it's not as conclusive, or like you say, it's not as easy. So you do tend to take your entire 5 years to finish your PhDs, but we've had people who finished it in like about 3 years and who had it extended to 8 years. But here in CES, the amount of time for your PhD is 5 years plus one. So you are required to finish your PhD by the end of that. So in average, it takes about 5 years to complete a PhD. I hope that helps. Is it true that appearing in an interview, one must be in the top hundreds or just qualified, for example, get EY or NetJR? No, you don't have to be in the top hundreds. If you're qualified and they've considered your application and you've been called for an interview, you can appear for the interview. I don't think you have to be in the top hundreds. You just have to qualify. So if you've qualified and they've accepted that, depending on what applicants have applied that year, and they've accepted you into the interview, then you can come for the interview. That's how it is. I don't think there's a top 100 rule. Dheeraj, can you answer that? What do you consider to be a good gate score?
It's not very clear, I would say. There is no, usually there is around the gate score of 600 is considered good, I would say. Because I think that there is some criteria before, for example, in IAC, before they consider you during the application process. So it's always better to have a good score. You'll always have a better chance of getting an invitation for the interviews. But once you are invited for an interview, your score doesn't really matter. But these big institutions do look for, I think it's based on the relative number of people who have applied for the exam that year. They will have some cutoff, but I think 600 would be a good score.
And I think her name is pronounced Yashwini. But your question about if you're from engineering or management backgrounds and you don't have typical projects, like, will that affect you? Absolutely not. We actually have a classmate right now who has a math background. She's done little to no ecology, but she's very interested in ecology. She took the GATE ecology exam and she's here working with us. It actually depends on the department and their necessity. So there would always be a chance that there is a person in the department who has the same interest as you and would require you to join theirs so they can make their their lab more diverse. So it honestly doesn't matter which background you come from. If you clear the exams, if you pass the eligibility and you have clear interest in the subject, apply, you will find your lab. don't let that stop you. And no, it does not put you on a different scale than the rest of the applicants. You're going to be fine.
Okay. Hi, Sophia. This is Yashaswini. Just following up on that answer that you just gave.
Of course.
Like you were saying, read up on the projects or whatever dissertations you have done in your basic for the interview specifically. Like, then what kind of preparation would you suggest for such people from such backgrounds? Like, just a general understanding of the topics, or?
So I would say from a CES perspective, if your background is not in ecology and your project is not in ecology, they might ask you a clarification about it, but they might just ask you regular questions in ecology and scenarios and ask you to come up with answers or what you think can be done. And they wouldn't press on the fact that you come from a different thing. It's just that, do you have a basic understanding of ecology? They would test you on that because that's what they require. So if you are able to come up with constructs of how to answer those questions, again, you don't need to get the answers right. You just need to be able to provide a roadway as to this is what you would do for this kind of a situation. You will be fine in the interview. And they might just inquire a little bit about your previous project. They might not ask you the same. Like, I come from a wildlife biology background. So they did ask me a lot about my project because that is similar to what they do. But if it is not, they just won't ask you about your project and they will just ask you questions on basic ecology and evolution. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
To add in some for that, we actually have a lot of engineering students who have completed their engineering and come as a PhD student in our department. So a definite question, well, you have to clear a competitive exam, which is a requirement for CES. But during the interviews, you will surely get a question regarding why did you develop interest in ecology and evolution. So you will have to have a genuine answer for that. You'll have to be really gotten interested from something which you've read or you've seen or attended a talk, which is very convincing, so that the faculty thinks you're really interested, and they wouldn't discriminate based on what your previous experiences are.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
I think the next questions we have question by Utsav. I think we have covered it.
Yeah, there is no particular cutoff. It actually depends on the year. Like how many students are applying, what is their cutoffs, all of that is the thing. It's a whole mess. And it's not just your gate, it is also the rest of your part of your CV and your academics and everything like that. So there. And for Jyotika, when you ask, could we visit IISc, we actually have an open day on the 4th of March, where the gates of IISc are open and you can actually come visit us, see what kind of work we do. Please do join us if you want to.
Yeah, please visit the Twitter handle of IAC, and there you'll get a link to register. I think to visit you have to register first. So anybody can visit IAC, any departments, and especially that day the departments will be giving presentations or expose on what the current work is going on. It will be really helpful that if you could visit.
Exactly. We encourage you to do that so you can get a good idea of this. Is there a minimum number of papers to be published for completing a PhD? Right now, there is no rule like that in India that has been taken. Earlier, it was 2 papers. In IISc, we don't require a minimum number of papers to be published to get your PhD. You don't have to. But it's always encouraged that you look for publications because of the fact that if you're working on something and you do get results and you have answers, let the world know. So there is no minimum requirement, but it's always encouraged.
And as recently in one of our seminar, one of our faculty member had rightly put it. It's always the PhD student should attempt to publish paper in the process of his PhD process. But again, as Sophie has mentioned, there is no requirement from IAC for a PhD student to publish a paper. It's just that you have to submit your thesis, which should be a good comprehensive set of researches of 4 chapters of thesis. That is only enough to complete your PhD, and you have to defend your thesis to finish the PhD.
Yep, thank you, Dheeraj. And then we have any opportunity for MSc Botany student? Of course, absolutely. You're one of us. Ecology does include plants. and stuff. So yes, you can, if you have an MSc Botany, qualify one of those exams, apply to us, you can join us. MSc Botany, absolutely. When can we apply for summer internship 2023? Like I mentioned, depending on the place that you're applying for, if you're using the Indian Academy of Sciences, the application starts in the winter the year before. So like around September the year before. So for 2023, it would have started in September 2022, but that is just for that particular internship. You can get and score internships by just emailing labs that you're interested in. If your dissertation work is going to be similar to what they're going to work on, you can always email to them saying, this is what I want to do in the long run. I would like to do an internship if I can under your lab. Just email them. They will respond to you. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. Just go ahead and email as much as possible and you can get internships like that. I think plenty of people got internships like that. Dheeraj, was yours like that? Your dissertation?
Dissertation, unfortunately, I did it in my own institute. But as far as summer internship or internship is concerned, you can, as you mentioned, you can email any faculty of any department at any time. As it'll be better if you could really convince them how you can contribute or what you're expecting from the internship. And if they find your email genuine and they find your interest is overlapping with the research interest, then I'm sure they would take you in.
Yep. And for Utsav, who asks with an application of remote sensing in GIS, yes, you can definitely do that. If that is your interest, go through the profiles of all of our department members and you can see who does work similar to what interests you. You can email them and ask them, this is what you're interested in. Would they be interested in working for that? Then you can apply according to that and join them. So if I would say, go ahead, do it. Like, yeah, they do use remote sensing and GIS over here. So there should be a lab that you should be able to work for. Actually, any lab would take you. But so apply for it like that. So it doesn't matter what background you're from. If you have an interest in ecology, just look up the people in the department, find out what they work on, see if you have similar interests as them, apply, get to know them, email them if you have doubts, email them, they will respond to you, and apply for the upcoming PhD programs and see if you get in.
Regarding the question from Utsav, you can also, if you can't secure a PhD position and or a research assistantship position in IAC, you can try to, for example, you can try to find similar positions in, for example, A-Tree or NCF or Wildlife Institute, and maybe there you can use such nice techniques. And you can also, while doing a PhD there, you can collaborate with the faculties in IAC and do a collaboration work such way. So you don't have to restrict yourself to just IAC.
Absolutely. Just because we speak from CES doesn't mean we are saying CES is the place for you to be. Please apply to as many places as possible. Please search up as many names as possible and find who you vibe with better and who does things what you want to do and then apply to them. That would be like the best way to go because PhD, like I said, is a long-term commitment. So you're best off in a place that is more suited. Let's say that my MSc marks are excellent and I have a lot of experience as well, but if my GATE marks are not extremely high, if you have qualified GATE, just apply because you don't know what the year was like. You don't know what the applicants are like. You don't know, there might be something about your CV that impresses people. They do have, like, if you take the form of application, they do have these little blocks where they ask you for your research experiences. You have to put it down. They will go through all of that. So yeah, you could get chosen if you have a good amount of experience and you've done well in your MSc and stuff. So you can't say, it's like a chance thing. So I would definitely say don't be bummed out about your gate marks being slightly low. Just go ahead and apply. It's a chance, you will definitely make it through. So don't worry about that. And if you have research experience, that's great.
Adding to this answer, let's say if one does not qualify the GATE itself, and you have a good score in MSc and have a lot of experience, you don't necessarily have to apply for PhD. You can do let's say a long internship or a research project assistantship. So it'll get you more experience, also an idea of working in the field of your interest, and then you can write the exam again next year, or maybe try CSIR or try some other means of getting funding. If you have funding, any faculty wouldn't mind to take you as a PhD, I would say.
That is actually very true. Is there a difference between doing a PhD from a university or research institute? Some of the differences are resources. Research institutes do tend to have more resources, but I would honestly say it depends on the lab and the supervisor. There are universities that have amazing labs, amazing supervisors, and a lot of resources. Just as in research institutes, you could have supervisors that aren't as good. It honestly depends on you going and finding out what kind of work they do, what resources they have, if that is going to be helpful for your type of research. And yeah, like Dheeraj said in one of his slides of choosing a lab, talk to people who've been in those labs before and find out what the environment is like. That's going to give you a big idea. But no, at the end of the day, PhD is PhD. There is some weightage to which university and which research institute you get from. But if you have publications after your PhD, that is what stands out. If you have publications and what kind of work you do, what kind of research you do, that's what's going to drive you forward. So no, in a big answer, no, it doesn't really matter if it is from a university or research institute. Just make sure you go to good labs, good resources, and a good working environment that's about progress. The other question about would you even be considered, or would you be rejected? We can't tell you the underworkings of what happens there. We don't know ourselves. I would just say don't let that stop you from applying. Keep applying. You might get rejected in some places just because they do not have enough seats to give out. But it doesn't, again, it's not about your potential. If you have enough research experience that is good enough for you to be considered, just keep applying. It's always a chance. There's a huge role of chance that plays in this. And like Dheeraj said, you don't really actually have to do a PhD. You can do project internships, project assistance, and that also gets you into a familiarity with a place and with a person who would be accepting of you doing PhD under them. That works out. A lot of people do it that way. You can also apply to institutes that don't require, like what do you say? An exam. There are institutes that universities that take you without needing an exam. If there is a project that interests you and you want to get into that, that is one way of doing it. So there's multiple things. I would just say go ahead and apply. Don't really think about whether your marks are higher or lower than anybody else. It's totally fine. Just apply. It's a chance. There's a huge chance effect on it.
So I can take Priyanka's question. If my area of project research experience is in any other area, but I'm interested to do PhD in ecology, will my previous area hinder my PhD admission or interview or selection in IISc? I wouldn't say it. I don't think it would hinder. But one good thing about the ecology and evolutionary biology field is it's not black and white. We take a lot of different techniques and stuff from different areas of science. For example, we collaborate with engineering departments to work on, let's say, one of the faculty here works on acoustics, who collaborates with engineers. So if you have an engineering background, if you have an electrical background, actually the faculties would prefer you over some of the, if they have a project in mind, they would, which for example, one of the faculty here works on mostly works on modeling the behavior of fishes, and he would prefer engineering students who know computer science programming language over a biology students. So it doesn't really matter because ecology is such a field that any of your skills can be used to do a specific thing which you are interested in. I hope that answers your question.
Exactly. By personal account, I actually do have friends who are qualified researchers who finished their PhD and are actual researchers right now who come from a background of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and so on. Oh, I have a senior right now in my lab who has done electrical engineering. So it really doesn't matter what degree you had before. It just matters if you like ecology and you know what you want to do about with ecology. You're more than welcome to apply and stuff. So there is a person, Siddharth, who asked about internship, summer school. Do they have an edge over students who don't have any experience? From personal experience, I've never had a summer internship. So I've never done any other research than my master's dissertation research before I got into PhD. So no, it doesn't give you an edge over the other students. Yes, you know a lot of concepts. So maybe you do have experience is a thing. It's a good thing. So you could, but it does not really hinder your application. It's basically how much you love ecology, how much you know what you want to do, and your interest matching the interest of the faculty that you're applying for. That is the main deal over there. So it doesn't matter, to be very honest. Do we have to pay any course fees for doing a PhD and any fellowships available? So you do have the PMRF, which is something that you apply before you come or after you come, it depends. And then you get your fellowship from whichever exam that you have cleared. And yes, you do have a course fees. At least here we have yearly course fees. Those will all be available in the institute website. You can actually check that out before you join, like what the course fees are and everything. And if you live within the institute, you obviously have the living expenses to pay for. All of that, all the breakdown for all of that is available in individual institute websites. Please do check that out. Fellowships available. We do have research funds. So once you start your PhD and then you've decided on your research, you can apply for research funds, which will also pay you. So yeah, there is plenty. So those are things that you will have to do a little bit of research on. You can actually contact people based on that and find out more information. But there's plenty. And yes, you do have a course fees. That depends on the institute. Please make sure you go check their individual websites and find out. What's expectation versus reality for a PhD student? And have there been instances where one may question their decision to pursue a PhD? Every day, Saad, every day. It's a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of ups. There's going to be a lot of downs. We have another session right after this saying life as a PhD student that explain a lot of it. Expectations of PhD is like, it's going to be, actually, to be honest, expectation reality, I don't know. I think it's the same. Basically, you will have a lot of hard work, but it's going to be a lot of fun. You do get a bit of freedom. And this expectation reality actually changes depending on which lab you get into. If the working environment is suitable for you and what you're doing is something that you like, you will be fine. Your expectations reality will match up. But if not, then that would be a little unfortunate. So make sure you do a lot of research before you get into a particular lab. That way your expectations realities will be matched. There will be times when you'll be really questioning if I should continue doing this. So please remember the links that I showed you. Do I have to do a PhD? What does it mean to do a PhD? Go into that, read that, see if that matches what you think, then you should be fine. And whom shall I email? If you're talking about faculty, you can directly email faculties of whoever you're interested in. But if you're talking about me and him, that's our email addresses. He's put it up. You can email us about any other questions that you have. We'll be happy to answer. What if you're not qualified for GATE, but you're interested? If you want to join an institute, you need GATE, but you have other things like internships, project assistance, and everything which don't require an exam. You can join for those. That will still get you into research. We don't actually have a lot of time, so I'll have to quickly go through all of this. How is it possible to get these long-term internships? That actually depends on the kind of internship. Some internships are short, some internships are long. It actually depends. Some internships will actually say we need an intern who will at least minimum be there with us for 3 months. That are like long-term internships. It really depends. Sign up for the Yeti mailing list. You will have a lot of opportunities being put up there. Read their requirements and you can do it. How to apply for project research associate after masters? Is there any kind of opportunities? Yeti, email, join that emailing list. All the advertisements will be sent over there. You can see it. You can also go to individual institute websites and see if they're having any openings. All of that. Follow Twitter accounts. They will also tell you. Is there any kind of opportunity? Plenty. How do we know? Yeti. Please provide tips to crack CSIR life science. Concentrate on those 4 subjects: developmental biology and plant biology and cell signaling and all of that. There is a breakdown for that. Some of those are weighted more. Concentrate a lot on those. Make sure you study only chapters that you have to study, because some of you can't study all of them. I'm just saying, if you want to crack is your thing, then do all of that. There are tips online, you can actually look them up. What is your coping mechanism for handling extreme pressure? Therapy. Most
I think,
institutes have.
Sophia, can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
I think the next session will
Oh,
be.
that will handle all of that,
cover.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That they'll handle.
Yeah, please stick here, and next session will be life as a PhD student, and I don't think you will feel extreme pressure, but they'll let you know more on this.
Yeah, there's one question over here which I think I can answer. How to find a master's dissertation topic with subjects I would like to work? Read a lot of papers depending on the subject that you would like to work, and find empty lacunas in those papers which you think you can fill up. Find a model system, find a person who's working on something similar to that, and then that's the only way to do that. You read as much as possible to find small gaps. What are the different opportunities after PhD? That next week there's a session, careers in ecology. Please watch that. You will get all that answers as to different opportunities. We're anyway running out of time, and you guys have another session in a while. So any more questions that you guys have regarding applying for PhD and stuff like that, you can email to us about it, and we'll try to answer as much as possible. The next session on how PhD is going to be and the life as a PhD student will answer a lot of those questions. So please do watch that. Can we contact you guys after the meeting? Yeah, of course. Email us. We will make sure to reply to you as soon as possible. So yeah, I hope this has been informative for you guys, and hope it's not been too fast. Sorry. Yeah, that's it from me and Dheeraj. Thank you for staying by, and please stay for the next session. It's a very interesting session. It'll show you what CES is like. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello. Am I audible? Can someone respond?
Yeah, you're audible, Janvi.
Yeah, okay. So we'll start the next session in 15 minutes. I guess we can take a break for 15 minutes. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah.
Okay. And my slides are visible, right?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. Okay, then we'll start. And sorry for any background noise. There's some construction going on in my house. Hope it won't be a problem. So good afternoon, guys. I'm Janvi, and I'm a PhD first year student at CES, working in Vishu's lab. And I'll be talking about life as a PhD along with Amanda and Harish, my seniors. They'll introduce you to the latest stages of PhD, and I'll be talking about the beginning experiences. So since we are talking about our own experiences, so we'll talk about life as a PhD student at CES. So let's begin. So yeah, if you're lucky enough to get inside CES, so what's next? First of all, you are at a beautiful campus, so don't forget to enjoy the beauty of it, for sure. And let's talk about hostels. As soon as you get admission at IISc, you'll be allotted personal hostel rooms at one of the hostels, and you can register yourself at one of the mess. There are 5 different messes with different types of food, and you can choose your preferences, and they all have really good food. So yeah, once you're done with the accommodation and food, welcome to CES. Here we have all the beautiful members of our current CES society. So here we have a basic timeline of all the things that you need to do as a PhD student, and I'll be talking about the first year. So the different things that we need to do is completing the coursework, forming the thesis advisory committee, presenting PhD proposal, submit a written literature review. Then there'll be a departmental seminar. There'll be a written comprehensive exam, oral comprehensive exam. Then you need to submit your annual reports to DCC, which we'll talk about. And so let's talk about what is mainly about the first year, which is completing the coursework. So yeah, here we have all the different courses at CES. There is general biology, where we'll just discuss the basic biology. And then there is process of scientific thinking, which I think is one of the best courses that we have. And this course doesn't really teaches us much about ecology, but about the ethics of the scientific community and about the way the scientific community works and how to actually think like a scientist, how to actually do research. And we feel really privileged that we have a chance to read this course here at IISc, which it should be taught in all the colleges actually. And there are other courses, which is ecology, patterns and processes, animal behavior, plant animal interaction. So the names are self-explanatory. The good thing about the courses is that you're not just reading out of a textbook and giving exams. You're actually taught how to do research in all of these fields. You will be taught different research papers and how to actually apply them. So by the end of the course, you will know how to use those concepts in your research. There is quantitative ecology, which is a statistical course, which is a very useful course for our PhD, which teaches us about how to design an experiment, how to do analysis and everything. So yeah, personally, after reading this course, you become so much more confident while entering your research work, right? Then there is theoretical and mathematical ecology by Vishu. So in this course, we learn about modeling, which is a scary topic for most ecologists since we are mostly from biological background. But yes, again, we are privileged to learn this in such an easier way. And there are the courses, evolutionary biology, genetics, and global change. So all of these courses are really interesting and are taught in a very nice way by our faculties. So in PhD, you have to do a minimum of 15 credits, but I think you should read all of them. They're all really interesting and you'll learn a lot out of these. Then we have our faculty members. We cannot go ahead without introducing all of them. There is Rene, Sumanta, Praveen, Rohini, Kavita, Vishu, Karthik, Saskia, Umesh, Karthik, and Maria. And they are all so amazing people, and we are so lucky to have them. And yeah, they make CES what it is. Okay, so I will introduce you to the different committees that we have in our department for the proper functioning of the department. So one of the committees, Workplace Wellbeing Committee. So yeah, doing a PhD can be frustrating at times, and luckily we have a committee for that. There are people who can take care of your mental and psychological well-being. If you have any kind of problem, you can go to these people and you can discuss it out, and there's always a solution. Then we have Departmental Curriculum Committee. So this committee takes care of our academic goals and expectations. So while running a long race, procrastination can hit. So we have this committee to keep us in check from time to time. So we submit our annual report to this committee about our work progress. And then we have ICASH, an internal committee against sexual harassment. Not that we really need it in a healthy environment like this, but yes, there's a committee for that, so that any kind of abusive behavior would not occur inside the department. Then we have Ecological Student Society. It is one of the highlight of the first year students, since we do not have a lot of workload. So yes, we can join the Ecological Student Society, which takes care of organizing several formal and informal events in the department. It helps you to get adapted in the environment, and also like you learn a lot of things. So the different events that ESS organizes includes invited talks. We have these guest lectures every Wednesday at our department, where people are coming and sharing their research work. Then there are symposiums happening time to time, several workshops. We have a book club at CES, which is a good place to interact with the members, and there are quizzes occurring. Then we also have an informal coffee day, which we try to organize every month so that all the members can sit together and talk about their research and stuff. So yeah, all of these things make the workplace healthy and interesting. Then we have CATS, CS Annual Talks. So this is an annual event at CES, which continues for 2 days, where all the members, it is exclusive to the CES members, where all the members discuss the research works, ideas, and then we have some panel discussions where we talk about different views of PhD students, postdocs, ethics, and stuff. So yeah, this is basically all of the things for a first year student to go through. And then I think Amanda will take care of the later parts.
Yeah, thank you, Janvi. I will try to share my screen.
Okay.
Hello, can you see my screen and am I audible?
Yes, you're
Oh.
audible.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everybody. Now, Janvi have told you about like how the first part of your PhD life is going to be. Now, I'm Amanda. I'm in the 3rd year of my PhD and I will share my experience with you. Okay. So once you are done with the coursework, you must have like a basic understanding of the ecology, evolution, and whatever topics that you need to know. And now it comes to your research question. Like you will slowly start to think about, okay, what I should do. So what is the area of my interest? So what you will do, you will attend the talks, you will start reading the literature, you will start to think to yourself, okay, what I should do. So if this is the area of my interest, say the thermoregulation, for me, it was the thermoregulation of ectotherms. Okay, what question should I ask? So what's the gap in the current knowledge that is existing? Okay, so you will start discussing with your PI, you will discuss with your friends, also the other experts in the field, especially to your seniors and other faculties, also the scientists from like the neighboring institutes, and you'll get an idea. Okay, this is what I should work on. Then you will frame the correct question, you will come up with hypothesis, and in order to answer those questions, you will design your studies accordingly. Then you will start working on the idea that you have. So you will come up with that outline for your thesis. You will like divide your goal into different objectives, and for each objective you'll come up with different tasks, and thus you will form the thesis proposal. That is, you will have different chapters, and each chapter will deal with the different subtopics. And you will also have your PI always with you to help in this process. Also, you will form a thesis committee, which includes like 2 or 3 faculty members. So these faculty members can be from your department, or from like from your institute, or from whichever institutes. Yeah. Yeah, across the world, you can like seek out the help of any of the scientists across the world. Okay. So once you are like ready with the questions and your thesis proposal, so the next stage is the comprehensive examinations. Okay, in this comprehensive examination, first of all, you will write out the thesis proposal. You will write the report and submit to the thesis committee. And you will go through a written exam. So this written exams make sure that you are okay with the basics of the ecology, evolution, behavior, all those stuff like that. It will make sure that you're comfortable with the ideas. Then you will get an opportunity. So this comprehensive examination, it will be different for different departments in IISc. So I'm sharing with you the procedure that is followed in CES. Okay. So first you will write the report, then you will go for the written exam. Then you have the departmental thesis proposal talk, that you will present your proposal in front of the entire department. Okay, so what you're going to do, so what's your question and how you're going to address the question, and what are your expectations, that's what's your prediction, and how your work is going to fill the gap in the existing knowledge. You can share that with the department, and surely you will get exciting, interesting like feedback from them, so that you can refine your question, you can refine your research. Then after that, you have the closed viva, where the thesis committee members and some external faculties, your PI, everyone will be present, and they will ask you questions like, so they will make sure that, okay, you do have understanding of what you are going to do, and you do have the tools with you, like you know what to do, you know how to do. And once you are done with the viva, then you have passed the comprehensive examination, and now you become senior research fellow. So till your comprehensive exam, you are called the junior research fellow, and after you're done with the comprehensive examination, you are the senior research fellow, and you will get an increment, a small increment in your stipend, and all good. So in any of these steps, if you find like, if the faculties feel like, okay, you need to improve in some of the aspects, they will give you a second chance, so that by that time you can come up with like more refined answers, or more refined solutions, or more refined techniques for the questions that you are asking. Okay, so this process in which you are coming from the intense coursework, that's like a what coursework is more or less like what you do in the college, like you will learn stuff, you will do the assignment, you will write the exam and get passed. And now there's a transition to be an independent researcher. So obviously it's going to be like a mixture of emotion. You will be happy to find something, you will have the eureka moments, oh, this is the answer to the question, or I can answer this question this way. You will surely get those moments. Also, there will be like some difficult situations. You may have deadlines, you may get like a lot of stuff to do, or you may feel like, okay, am I fit to do a PhD, or like, should I go ahead, or should I go switch my field? or like, yeah, obviously you will get a whole lot of emotions. And so the best thing that we should do at these situations is like, be honest with your PI. Okay. That's your principal investigator. So he or she will be always there with you throughout the process of PhD. So whatever difficult situation you face, you share it with the PI, and he or she will give you the solution. Also, you can share your stuff with your friends who can help you. Also, the seniors. So your senior PhD fellows, they should have gone through all these processes once, so they can definitely help you. Also, we do have this like wellness center, and we have the psychologists in the campus who can help you if you have got some difficult situation to deal with. Okay. And in the next part, I'm going to explain to you what other exciting stuffs are there in institute other than academics, which will like help. So that in IISc, we have all the platforms to nurture your like overall potential in sports, arts, culture, activities, whatever interest you have. In IISc, we do have the platform to explore and express your interest. Okay. So I will share you some of that. So first, into sports, we do have various clubs, including cycling club. We do have a swimming pool. We have yoga classes, badminton, table tennis. We do have a nice gymnasium in the campus. And then other than that, we do have a big cricket ground, hockey ground, football ground, volleyball court, badminton court. Yeah, for all the sports activities, we do have facilities for that. And we have inter-department sports festival called Spectrum, which will be happening in the like around March, April time. And we have inter-ICER sports meet, in which different ICERs across India, also IISc, NICER, and these institutes will come together and compete each other. So IISc, so in the previous year, in 2022, IISc won overall third in inter-ICER sports meet. And our volleyball team, both men's and women's, so ours like has won the championship for like previous few years. Also, we have a good frisbee team. We participate in nationals, and last year we won the first runner-up in the NCUC. That's a national, which was IISc hosted that one. So especially you girls who can, girls will be having a lot of opportunities here because the number of girls in the campus is less. So obviously both boys and girls have the opportunities, and yeah. Okay, now coming to the cultural stuff, we have dance, drama, music, art, literature clubs. So we have nature club, which will take us for outings in few times in a year. Then we do have this literature clubs for both scientific and non-scientific writing. Then Rhapsody, this is the cultural fest of our college. We do have a lot of activities coming up during the Rhapsody time. Then the Pravega, that's our science technology fest, which also do have a lot of activities, and it ends with the Pranite, which we all enjoy. Yeah. Then other institutional events as part of this Independence Day, Republic Day, all those things, we do arrange marathon, cyclothon, wackathon, then debates, then all other cultural activities and so on. Then I think I should mention about JRD Tata Memorial Library, which is like one big library we have. And also in various departments, we have department libraries exclusively for the books related to the topics that is covered in that department. Then through this library, you can access like different journals across the world. Okay. Then IISc also organizes different talks in which the international figures, Nobel laureates come and give the talks. So yeah, also being in IISc, we have like different departments, different like science, engineering. So if you want to, if you're interested in interdisciplinary research, it's like a best. So IAC is like the best platform for that. Then you guys asked us like, can we visit IAC, right? Yeah. So the open day is coming on Saturday, that is March 4th. So as Dheeraj said, you can go to website of the open day of IAC. You can register, you can come up. It's all free. Okay. So each department will be like displaying something, what research activity that is going on that will be showcased on this open day. So if you guys are around, please do come, see and enjoy. Yeah, I think that's all from me. And the life after comprehensive examination and how the research is going, that will be dealt by Harish. Harish, all to you.
Hi, everybody. Let me just share my screen. Give me a minute. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. Is the presentation also working?
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah. Thanks, Sophia.
No problem.
Okay. I'm Harish. I'm a postdoc, but I did do my PhD from the Center for Ecological Sciences. I was in Rohini Balakrishnan's lab, and now I'm in Maria Thakur's lab doing my postdoc. So you all heard what Sophia, Dheeraj, Janvi, and Amanda had to say about what it is to apply for a PhD and what amazing facilities IISc has once you join for a PhD. So let me start with asking this question. Is doing a PhD fun? If so, why? So if you can put it up in the chat, that'll be great. I opened the chat box. Is that coming out in the presentation as well, or that's not? Hi, people can hear me? Are people around?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay.
I think
We
nobody.
can't see the chat box, so we only see the slides. So no.
Chat box, is it? Oh, okay, okay. So if somebody can read out what's there in the chat box, that'll be nice. Sorry, I'm putting people to work. Are
So
people
Yash-
typing in?
Yeah, Yashwini says, yes, we find answers to questions to which we don't have answers yet. So I think she says, yes, it's fun, but she finds answers to questions which we don't have answers to yet.
So that's why
That's
she thinks it's fun. Nice, nice. Anybody else?
So far, that's the one.
Okay. How many participants are there? Are there 20, 25 participants? Just wanted to know.
Yeah, we have
how many.
34 now.
Okay, okay, cool. That includes us. Okay, okay, cool. So let me start with, yes, I think you've been repeatedly shown this slide. So you've gone through, you've joined for a PhD, you've done your coursework, you've put a lot of thought process into what kind of questions you're going to ask, and you finished with your comprehensive examination. You finished with your comprehensive examination as well. So what do you do after your second year, after you finish your comprehensive examination, from your third to fifth year? That is what I'll be talking about. I'll be talking about more from my experience, and I'll give you a sense of what all deadlines there are for you to finish your PhD as well. So here you are, you have figured out stuff, you know exactly what kind of research you have got yourself into. And there's 3 years for you to get your PhD. And you probably will be starting to collect your data. You've figured out your questions and you will be actually collecting your data. You would have gone through all your pilot kind of data collections and everything during your second year, and you would actually be collecting your data. But you won't be doing it alone. You're definitely not going to be doing it alone, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to assist you. There are going to be field assistants and technical assistants in your lab. There are going to be master students who are going to be working with you. And there would be interns as well, who are going to be learning from you as well. Since you have taken the pains to figure out your research question with the help of your supervisor, there'll be interns who will be working with you as well to gain skills. And in this phase, it's not like you are on your own. You are going to be in regular touch with your supervisor and thesis committee in order to sort of refine the kind of study that you would be doing. So you're definitely not going to be alone, and you will still be taking help from your supervisor's thesis committee, as well as your lab seniors and peer group as well. And there's lots of perks for being in field. Can any of you tell me what this ritualistic cultural event is that is on the left bottom? And which part of India does it come from? If somebody's putting it in the chat box, can one of you read it out? Thanks.
Of course, no
From
problem.
Kerala? Like
Is it from
Thailand?
Kerala, is it? Okay. Tayyam, is it? Is that
Maybe.
what you said?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, actually, you can unmute and talk as well. Yeah. Actually, it's very close, but this is from Karnataka. This is from Udupi district. If you guys have watched this movie called Kantara, you have the Bhuta Kola, right? But yes, I would give you points for saying it's Tayyam from Kerala as well, because it's very close. It's very close culturally connected to that as well. So one of the perks of being in field is, of course, you're going to learn a lot of valuable team management skills. You're going to be working with a lot of people, field assistants and interns. So you'll be learning a lot of team management skills. You'll be experiencing new cultures. You'll get to see new things. You'll get to taste amazing local cuisines, as well as exciting wildlife spottings. So all of these are the perks of being in field, but there are also perks of being in the lab as well. This is within IISc, within your lab environment. Of course, you're going to learn valuable team management skills from the lab as well. Being in the lab, you'll always have your colleagues and peers and supervisors for troubleshooting when you have any trouble. And of course, Amanda mentioned about all those amazing extracurricular activities. You get to always have access to those facilities as well. So there are definitely perks to being in the field. There's definitely perks in being in the lab as well. Some of you might already know this. If you're going to work in the protected areas or even in reserve forests, if you're going to be handling animals, you'll definitely need permits. And the permit process is slightly long drawn and quite difficult to get. So send in as soon as you've figured out your question and where you'll be doing it. I think it is important that you send out the application as soon as possible to the State Forest Department or agency. And the trick is, of course, you have to follow up and persist to get these permits. Post your comprehensive examination, you will have a semester of TA-ship. You will be a teaching assistant with either your faculty or one of the faculties in the department. And this is during this semester, you will actually gain a lot of teaching experience. You'll be learning how to teach. You'll be learning to mentor other students' assignments and projects. You will definitely be evaluating their assignments and projects as well. So you'll get an important skill in order to be able to evaluate these projects as well. And of course, since you'll be working closely with the course faculty, you will actually be able to gain skills as to how teaching is done during the whole semester long process. And of course, in the meanwhile, you've all been collecting data and all of that, and now you're at the phase where you've collected something and you have to find out if there's some story to it. So let me start with the story that is from my own PhD. So I studied, I worked on this particular bat species that is found in the Western Ghats. It's called the lesser false vampire bat. And this bat, we radio tagged them, and we found out, wow, it's got stuck. Yeah. We found out that this bat species is usually found in these forest patches, and they usually forage in these forest patches, and they don't prefer to forage in the plantations. So this is a very heterogeneous landscape, and you find this bat foraging only in the forest patches. So can anyone tell me why this is so? Why this might be so? Why you're finding them only in the forest patches and not in the plantations? You can unmute and reply. Anybody?
It can be because of their food preference, I think.
Excellent, excellent. So what do you think? What do you think could be in the?
Yes, the food they prefer might be in forest more rather than in planted area, because it is a habitat where is a lot of human intervention.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've nailed the question. So yes, so one of the things we found out, we went and sampled these bush crickets in forest habitats and in plantations, and we found out that on an average, this bush cricket is called Mycopoda. It's a large katydid, which is about it's around about 3 to it's a 3 gram. It's quite a large insect. So we found out that on an average, there are a lot more bush crickets in the forest habitat as compared to the plantations. Post your data collection, you will be putting all your coursework skills into actual practice, especially your quantitative ecology skills, which Kavita was talking to you about. So you'll be plotting, making sense of data, you'll be dealing with statistics, and you'll be trying to infer your results that you've actually got. So this is a very exciting phase. I love, this is one of my favorite phases of doing a PhD, is to be able to plot your data and find out that if it falls within your hypothesis or it is completely contradicting what you thought about the system. So it's a very exciting phase. And then there is, of course, going for conferences. You've figured out your question, you've collected your data, you've plotted your data and found out. So you'll have to go and share it with a lot of people. So one of the opportunities IISc offers is it does have funding for you to travel, not just in India, but abroad as well, and present your work in terms as a poster or as a talk, whichever the conference you're going to. And it's an excellent platform for you to communicate your science, of course. And it's also a platform for you to get feedback. So there's a lot of people who might actually give you feedback in terms of what kind of analysis you could be doing, or for you to look at the same data in a very different way. All of these especially help when you're writing up your theses, as well as when you're writing up your manuscript as well. Of course, it's also conferences are also an amazing networking opportunity, especially when you have to get if you're interested in doing a postdoc. It exposes you to global research, you understand what you've done, and you can try fit in your how does your research work fit in with the global research that other people are doing. And as well as, of course, you get to travel and visit places outside India as well. So conferences are really an exciting time. And then comes the last leg of PhD, again, like the comprehensive examination, which Amanda was speaking to you about. That last leg is a mixed bag of emotions because you have to get a lot of things done. There is a presentation near the end of the 4th year where you have to show progress. You sort of are presenting what you've done so far. But what's excellent about this is that the whole department actually helps you, sort of gives you feedback for your work, and that actually helps you to write up your thesis as well. You have a presentation near the end of your 5th year, and this is when you're presenting your complete all chapters of your work in one presentation. It's sort of a very festive time. You're sort of like the star on that particular day when you're giving your colloquium. This is the end of the presentation. I mean, the 5th year end is the colloquium. You have to present your thesis at the end of year. After your colloquium, within a couple of months, you have to submit it. And this has to be done before the 5th year. So a thesis submission has to be done. And of course, post that, the thesis goes for review, one internal examiner and one external examiner, and then you'll have the defense and you're awarded your PhD. So yes, the PhD journey is a whole roller coaster ride. As people have been mentioning, it's going to be a lot of emotions, ups and downs. There'll be stages where you know nothing, and then there'll be stages where you do know something, and then definitely there's going to be phases where you're thinking about how will I ever finish, to definitely actually finishing your doctorate. So yes, doing a PhD is very exciting and fun as well. I hope I gave you the notion that it is fun from all of this. Thank you, people. Do you have any questions? I'm going to close the share. Hi. Do you have any questions?
There's one asking if you can complete your PhD in 3 years.
I mean, I think there is no restriction. You can, if you, I mean, if you get everything done, you can complete it in 3 years. There's no, I don't think there's a lower limit for when you can complete your PhD. I don't think so. I think I've heard of people completing it in 4 years and stuff. Definitely. Any other question? After, oh yeah, I think you will get to know about all of this in the next week. What are the opportunities after PhD? So maybe you can wait for that. I'm not as equipped to talk about it as compared to other people who are doing different things. Of course, academia is one path that you can take. That is, you do your postdoc, and then you become a faculty member. What motivated me to do a postdoc? So I'm really interested in the academic line of work. That is, you finish your postdoc, join as a faculty member, mentor students, teach a particular subject of your interest. So I like that path. So that is what motivated me to do a postdoc. Is it necessary and advisable to know what model system one would like to do a PhD on? No, not necessarily. You don't have to know everything about your model system. So, like I told you, I worked on a particular bat species, which I didn't know anything about bats. I had previously been working on butterflies and bonnet macaques. I had been working on primates. So I picked up skills to handle bats, to get to know about my bat during my PhD. So it's not really a prerequisite. Oh, can you share your journey? I think I was always interested in working with animals, and the reason I wanted to do a PhD was to be able to focus all your. And I've always been interested in doing research as well. I really like the problem-solving part of doing a PhD. So I also wanted a chunk of time to do a particular research, and really find something novel. So I think PhD is a great platform for you to, if you really like doing research, and it gives you that period of time where you can think about a certain question and answer it at the end of it. How is the approach of supervisors? Oh, it is absolutely wonderful. IIC faculty in IIC are very much accessible, not just your supervisor, but any other faculty member that you want to talk to. They're very approachable. You probably have to mail them and tell them that you want to meet them, and you can just walk into their cabins and have a chat with them. You shouldn't discount the seniors in your lab as well, in your lab or in your department as well. They are also one of the main community people who are going to help you with problem solving, because they've gone through the process as well. So it's an excellent system of not just supervisors, but having senior students and postdocs who will help you with your work as well. Have I missed any other question? Oh yeah, somebody's asked about not just the system, but even asking very specific questions. I think you figure out these questions at the end of your first year or second year. It has to do with what your supervisor is interested in, what kind of infrastructure and research grant money that they have. So it all comes down to that, where you're narrowing down on questions that you're interested in, your supervisor is interested in, as well as what kind of infrastructure you have for you to answer that particular question. So you don't have to particularly narrow it down before you start your PhD, at least not in CES, IISc. They don't expect you to come with a particular question. But in other universities, sometimes where the PhD is much shorter, 3 to 4 years, they expect you to already have a proposal in mind when you're doing your PhD. Doing a PhD from India abroad, I think what really matters, like Sophia was mentioning in the last session, what matters is what kind of papers you are publishing and how influential they are. Definitely, you do your PhD or postdoc abroad, people see it very differently from if you do it from India. But as long as you get to do good research in India and that comes out through good publications, there's absolutely no difference from whether you're doing your PhD or postdoc from India, because ultimately what people look at is your publications and what kind of research you did. What kind of challenges do you generally face during fieldwork? What are some of the approaches to resolve and ensure you get the required data? So sometimes, I mean, you're always worried about the kind of data that you're collecting is sufficient enough, because in ecology, there's so many variables that you could be collecting, and sometimes you cannot collect all of them. So that is one particular challenge. So the way to resolve this is talk to people, talk with your supervisors, talk to experts as to making sure that you're collecting the right kind of data. So that is what I mean. What other kinds of Challenges did I face? Yes, being in field can be a little lonely because you're away from your friends and family and collecting data. But as long as you have a set of you sort of get inculcated into the village and you find out things to do when you're in field and have hobbies and stuff, that actually helps quite a bit. So what are some of the challenges that PhD candidates in India face when dealing with unsupportive, uncooperative supervisors? What impact can they have on their research and over? So in order to sort of solve this issues, why we have these multiple committees, especially the WWC, which is the Wellness Committee, in order to make sure that you can resolve the problem between the student and the supervisor much earlier before it goes to a point where there is no way you can find a resolution. So definitely, as humans, there's going to be conflict between people, but there are ways to solve this. And CES, as a department, takes a lot of care to ensure that most of the problems are resolved much before it turns into a problem that cannot be resolved. Do you ever have second thoughts about PhD after entering? Absolutely not. I started my PhD much later in life. I really knew that I wanted to do a PhD, and I have absolutely no regrets. I really love doing research. So there's absolutely no second thoughts, at least for me. I can only talk from my experience. Sorry if I've missed any of your questions. What kind of research is going on in animal behavior? Okay, so I think there's a lot going on. I think it'll be great if you can check out. I think we'll be sharing particular lots of YouTube videos of what work is done by each faculty and that lab. So you'll get to know about that. But on the top of my head, there is Rohini Balakrishnan, who works on acoustics, crickets and bats. There's Kavita Ishwaran, who works on sexual selection and mate choices and other stuff. And there's Maria Thakur, who works on physiology, movement ecology. Then there is Karthik Shankar, who works on mixed species flock behavior. There's Vishwesha Guttal, who works on theoretical modeling, but that does involve behavior as well. Who else? Am I missing out anybody? Yeah, I think these are the people working on behavior. There's Umesh works on conservation and ecology mostly. Yes.
Hello, sir. I'm
Yeah.
Sushma.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one question regarding Sunagar's work, Karthik
Yes.
Sunagar's Venomics Lab.
Okay.
So is it part Karthik Sunagar's?
Okay. I might not know much about that lab.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. But you can ask your question. I'll let you know whether I know.
So I was interested so much about the snake venom thing. So are they still doing this or no? I wanted
Absolutely. They're still working on not just snakes. They're working on various other organisms.
Yeah.
Which have
particularly, I am interested about the snakes. I see on the website they do bee and other insect venom.
They're working on snakes as well. That much I know.
Yeah. Yeah. And also one more, this is my last question. Now I'm working, my dissertation is on flatworms, planaria.
Okay.
So any lab which does ecology or evolution on hydrobiology?
I'm not really sure. You should check out Renee Borges. She works on plant-animal interaction, but I'm not completely sure about this. You can look up their website and whatever videos that we'll be sharing. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah, thank you.
Somebody is asking if age is a factor. So there is a slight disadvantage to starting a PhD a lot later, especially if you're doing it from India. There are, well, this isn't a very implicitly stated. There are age restrictions to when you can become a faculty member. So if you're under 35, it helps quite a bit when you're applying for a faculty position. But having said that, as of now, since I'm applying for faculty jobs and everything, there are lots of private universities which have environmental science departments and ecology departments which are open to taking people of any age. So there's no restriction there. Some central state universities do have restrictions for age. But having said that, doing a PhD later in life actually helps personally for me, because I really knew what I wanted, that I wanted to do this PhD. I was much more focused about getting the PhD, and PhD was not just another thing I was trying out. So that way it's an advantage. I have an regarding open day, allowed for 3 hours or open day 3 hours. I'm not sure what you mean. Amanda or Janvi, can you, I don't understand this question. I have a question regarding open day, 3 hours. Are people allowed only for 3 hours? I didn't know this.
In that registration form, it was the time slot was given, so that's why I asked.
Okay. Oh, open day, is it? So I didn't
Open day.
understand.
The
What?
open day on March 4.
Oh, you have only 3 hours, is it?
Yeah,
There
so
were-
there are like 3 slots, but I think you can like click multiple options, right?
Oh,
Yes,
I
yes.
don't know what this is, actually.
Yeah. So I
Sorry.
think like there are like 3 different slots to enter the campus. So I think you can like tick all the 3 slots and be around all the time. Just see. Or
Okay,
if only
thank you.
one slot, if you are able to like select only one slot, then it might be like on 3 hours. Yeah.
Thank you.
I just checked it out. You can take 3 slots.
I think this is a question maybe the other people can answer. What is the process to get admission in PhD for other university students after completing their MSc? I think this is a question probably the newer PhD students can answer.
When you mean other university students after completing their MSc, are you talking about students who are not MSc in IAC and other universities? Is that what you meant? Or you can just unmute yourself and then just tell me if that's what you meant. Like when you meant other university students, you meant anyone other than IAC applying to IAC, if that's what you meant.
So if you're talking to the person, right? Sorry, because I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, I was talking to that person. I just wanted clarity because we actually ran through that in the last seminar. Yes, other than that university. Oh, okay. I'm assuming you weren't there for the session right before this, where we actually explained how the admission works. Basically, if you're finished with your MSc, then you write one of the qualifying exams, which is either CSIR, UGC, GATE, ICMR. It doesn't matter. One of those exams. You write either one of those exams. Check which one is applicable to the department that you're applying for. Write those exams, and if you've qualified those exams, then you can just go to the website when the admission portal opens and apply. If you've got the eligibility, you just apply. And then your application undergoes a process of scrutiny and stuff. And they will get back to you whether you've been selected for the interview. If you have, you go through 2 stages of interview, and that's pretty much it. That applies for any university, all the students from any university who have finished their MSc. I hope that answers. Yeah, even for other state students, it doesn't really matter. So that's you have a qualifying exam, then you apply, and then you sit for interviews. That's it.
You guys can ask other questions to Amanda and Janvi, who have spoke about other things about coursework and stuff. if you have any other queries.
Hello.
Yes, Madhushree.
Hello, sir. My name is Madhushree. I'm from Karnataka. I'm having a question. Like, we are getting stipend from GATE or like CSIR. They offer particular stipend for the completion of PhD, right, sir? Is it going to be enough for the entire PhD work, or we have to apply for another?
Okay, so your stipend is very different from. I'll speak in terms of how it goes through in CSISC. So your faculties have research grants. It is these research grants they use for doing research. What you'll be getting as stipend is entirely your salary. It has nothing, you don't have to put in that money to do research. That is just taking care of your living, your hostel, your food, and other expenses. So you don't have to take your stipend money to do research. But having said that, if I'm aware, this is the IISc fellowship I'm talking to you about. IISc's fellowship is separate. But then if you have other fellowships, others can give me input. There are other fellowships that also give you some amount of research money as well.
PMFRI?
Yeah. Can you if you are aware of it, can you tell how much of money they give for research and all?
I think it's close to 41,000 a month.
This is for research alone, not your.
Yeah, it's for research because you have to give like an yearly update as to what the money was used for and what your research progress is.
So that's
to continue receiving the fellowship.
Okay. That's nearly 4 or 5 lakhs, right?
Yeah.
That's just per year for doing research. So it's excellent.
Yeah.
So, but that's a very that's only for one kind of scholarship. But in most cases, if you need to get research money as well, you and your supervisor might actually write up for a research grant as well. So that is also a possibility. Either your supervisor has the money and has the money for doing research, or you write up grants and get the money, or within your fellowship itself, there is research money. So all these three options. So your stipend is necessarily to take care of your expenses and not for your research or whatever.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Amanda, Janvi, if I've missed any question or point, you can add it here. I think people are done with their questions. If I've missed any question, I don't know if there are questions I missed.
I just wanted to add a point in that when Saad asked about unsupportive and uncooperative supervisors.
Sure.
I would definitely ask you to research as much as possible about your lab before entering them. Please talk to previous students and don't talk to one student, two students, talk to as many students who've been in that lab as possible to get a good idea of what the lab is like before you join it. Yes, you have help after you join, but it's always best to do your research before you join a lab and find out what the lab atmosphere is like. So email as many people as possible and find out what the lab is like. That would be better. Like, it's better to take precautions before you join a lab and then get confused about do you want to stay or not, because it kind of gets you disinterested in the whole process if you go through too much unsupportive, uncooperative behavior. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Thanks, Sophia. That's a really important point. Thank you. And this is true for whether you're applying to CES or any other institute in India or abroad as well.
And the information as to previous PhD students, postdocs, and who all have been there are actually there in the lab websites, not just for CES, but for everybody, every other institutes also you have that. You can find those email IDs there if you want to email them.
Cool. So if there's no other questions, it was nice to have a chat with all of you. I hope you're finding these sessions useful. Thank you. Thank all the speakers, and as well as thank you for being a part of this. Oh, sorry, there's one more question. Along with the institute, can there be other supervisors from another institute? I think you can always have a co-supervisor. Of course, if you've joined CSISC, the main supervisor is going to be your thesis advisor, but you'll definitely have inputs from your thesis committee, as well as you can always have another supervisor from the same institute as well, who will be a part of your thesis. But from another institute, I don't know what the formal route for that is, but you can definitely have them as co-supervisors is what I think. Does anybody know about this? I mean, most of us have only a thesis advisor as a supervisor, so we might not be entirely sure about this.
Would collaborators also be like co-supervisors if they do contribute
so
good enough?
They're all collaborators, of course. Is it a formal thing in your thesis or not is what I'm confused about. All the collaborators would, of course, you would probably be working with them on your manuscripts, your research publications. But how is this formally done in a thesis? In your thesis, I am not very sure about it. But yeah, you can have as many collaborators for your research. If you and your supervisors agree that they're going to be collaborators and part of your thesis committee. Cool.
Can I?
Yeah, sure.
Actually, my question is that what is the magnitude of knowledge of molecular biology or cytology one student should have to do better in the field of ecology or evolution? Because nowadays we are, what the trend is that more students are leaning towards the molecular aspect of the biology instead of the field work.
Oh, well, I'm a little stumped about this because I'm more of a field person. Can anybody else? I mean, I don't know about the others. Sophia, Amanda, Janvi, and all. Can you answer this question?
Could you just repeat the question one more time?
So yeah.
Okay. Actually, if I have to consider ecology, there is a lots of aspect of mathematics and stats is involved in this. Same goes with the evolution, like molecular aspects is involved in that subject. So what is the magnitude? Like if I have a basic knowledge of molecular biology, can I perform better or should I focus on that thing also?
Oh, that, to be honest, that depends on your interest. If you're interested in something and you have absolutely no background to it, also, you can still join and you can still learn. PhD, the first year is all about learning and getting your basics in. So you have your coursework and your coursework like deals with every one of those things. You can get your lab aspects in there, you get your math in there, you get your programming in there. All of it will be taught to you again if you haven't done it. But if you're already good at something and you have techniques that you've already developed and you think it could be useful in the field and you want to keep pursuing that, then you just choose a lab that helps you gain those, use those skills up. So you can do that. But no, you don't necessarily need to be good at something to continue doing it. If you don't know, you can always learn in your first year and second year of PhD. If I don't know if that's what you're asking me, but yeah. But yeah, we have labs which have just wet lab work. And then we have other labs that have all field lab works. And then we have collective behavior labs that do a lot of mathematical modeling. So it depends. Whatever interests you, you join them and you can learn things in your first year and first 1.5, 2 years.
Okay.
So I think the question is whether you go with the trend of what you want to do in this field as well. So it completely depends upon your interest. I think it's better to pursue what you like doing or what kind of questions you're interested in, and pick up skills that you need to do, pick up skills that you need to for achieving that. Instead of probably following a trend of, that this is more important than the other. Actually, that won't serve your purpose. So like Sophia mentioned, it's absolutely okay to not know certain things or certain skills that you don't have. For instance, all that Kavita was talking to you about in the morning, quantitative ecology stuff and all. Most of us, post our masters, we wouldn't know a lot of those things, because I don't think any institute in India teaches it as rigorously, stats and stuff, or to be able to quantitatively think about stuff. So a lot of us gain these skills while doing coursework or while doing our PhD as well. So it's completely fine. You don't have to have all the sets of skills that you need for doing a PhD. You pick it up on the way.
Okay, thank you.
Harish, that comment is for you. You were so worried about that.
Which one?
The last comment is for you. You were very worried about that.
I was. Hey, thanks. Thanks. That's nice. Cool. Okay. On that note, we'll close this session. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you for asking so many questions. It was really nice and interactive.
Yeah, thank you guys. All the best.